Hi friends! Welcome back to Emily Finally Reads All of Her Books. Nothing new to report, just the world low-key ending, but I have books to read, so let's do this. Today we're going to be finishing up the Alana series with these two books, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man and Lioness Rampant. At the end of the second book, Alana has officially become a knight, and in these two books we find out what she has been doing with her time as a knight. In the first book, Alana heads down south into the desert and hangs out with some nomadic tribes, where she becomes a shaman and is able to train her replacements, because she doesn't want to be tied down to any sort of one establishment. She wants to be able to travel freely and do what she wants to do. Then, trouble begins brewing in the capital where Alana had just left, and so she goes back. And it turns out that her twin brother Tom, who, when she had become a knight, he became a very powerful sorcerer. He has been doing some naughty deeds and has resurrected the evil Duke that Alana just spent all this time killing. So, of course, the Duke is up to no good. On the day of the new king's coronation, he does some super secret powerful magic and tries to absorb all of the magic in the world in order to become the most powerful sorcerer that there is. But luckily, Alana is able to kill him, and everything goes back to normal. Opinions. I don't like these two books as much as I enjoy the first two. I mean, good news, there aren't the crazy time jumps, but I don't know, they're just not as good in my opinion. At least in the fourth book, we get some interesting new characters, and Alana has to deal with her brother and to deal with the consequences of his actions. Which is a good segue into the fact that Alana spends a lot of time in the books cleaning up other people's messes. And then she has to deal with all these disgusting opinions people have of her without even knowing her just because she's a woman. Like, in the third book, the shaman before her is constantly trying to kill her just because she's a woman. But let's talk about the hot takes that I mentioned from before. Alana is a Mary Sue. Yes, I understand that she did work at it, but she is, hands down, the best swordsman, the best fighter, and she hardly ever uses her magic unless she absolutely has to, but when she does use it, it's perfect. She can do no wrong with it. Plus, it seems like every single guy that she meets is into her. Like the prince, who is training to be a knight at the same time that she is, as soon as he finds out she's a girl, oh, okay, feelings. Then you have George, King of the Thieves, who he has known Alana since she first entered the city. And as soon as he finds out that she's a girl, he starts showing interest. When she is 15 and he is 21. And like, age differences. 7-year age difference isn't that big a deal when you're in your 30s or whatever. But 15 and 21 are vastly different ages. You're different people at those ages. Another major opinion is that of the final conflict that we have between Alana and the Duke. It's boring. No big sword fight, no big magical duel. It's started and done within like 2 pages. Like, after 4 books, I was hoping for a little bit more, but whatever. But despite all these little flaws, all these little quirks, I love this series. I have loved this series since I was very young, and it might be because I read it when I was really young that I overlook the flaws and the quirks. It just holds a sweet spot in my heart, and it always will, and that's not a bad thing. I also read some other books over Christmas break. The Night a Short Walk On Girl is a originally Japanese light novel about a university student and the guy that is constantly pining after her. We follow the two of them over the course of 4 nights, over the course of a whole year, 1 in each season. She is trying to figure out who she is in the world and trying to make friends and trying to be a good person, and he is trying to find enough chance encounters that eventually she will start to think that it's fate, that they keep running into each other. The book is very cute, and the movie, if you ever see it, is a trip and a half, like just visually. It's a very interesting film. Really the only problem that I have with this book is that it's written in first person and it has 2 different narrators. In the original Japanese, they have different words for a masculine and a feminine I and me, but we don't in English, so it just takes a couple sentences as they switch back and forth to be like, oh, okay, it's her perspective. Oh, okay, it's his perspective. But that's not a big deal. The Haunted is about a ghost haunting a house, and I did not like it. The history of the haunting is kind of meh, and the powers and the lore of the ghost, demon, poltergeist thing is confusing at times. And for some reason, it made the parents really horny, so every 100 pages or so, there would be this really gross sex scene that basically came out of nowhere, and I did not like it. A Night to Remember is a play-by-play of the sinking of the Titanic. It starts with the hitting of the iceberg, and it ends with the picking up by the Carpathia. It's a very matter-of-fact book. It was very deeply researched, but it cuts out elements of humanity to be able to just give the facts of what happened. And then I'm currently reading another book about the Titanic. I've recently gotten really into the Titanic for some reason. Unsinkable by Daniel Allen Butler. It is also very researched, but it gives more emotion and humanity to each of the different players that you run into over the course of the night. That book starts with the why and the how the ship was built, and I'm assuming I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm thinking it ends with the different trials that occurred after the sinking, like the ones put up against the White Star Line, the ones put up against the owner and the architect, and everyone that was put up in court following the sinking. I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, it gives the emotion, it gives the humanity that I was expecting from this book. It's interesting because a lot of the experiences and the memories are very similar across the two because they're taking the same interviews, the same research, and to have it very matter-of-fact, very this is what happened, as opposed to this is what happened, and this is how they were feeling about it. It's an interesting comparison. But after the Titanic book, I am going to be reading. Let us see. She's Come Undone. I have no idea what this is. Oh, there it is. In an extraordinary coming-of-age odyssey, Wally Lamb, the author, invites us to hitch a wild ride onto a journey of love, pain, and renewal with the most heartbreakingly comical heroine to come along in years. She's Come Undone includes a promise you will never forget Dolores Price. Okay. Cool. That's all. Bye.